Today we have Anna Russel of AR Management and Vocal Agency. Anna has a BA Honours in Popular Music and specialised in entrepreneurship, winning the Napier University Most Promising Entrepreneur Award. Anna has worked in the industry for a number of years and worked with the likes of Groove Armada and Saint Saviour. Anna has taken her vast experience into the setup of AR Management and Vocal Agency.
So my musical background, I've been involved with music from a really young age. I actually started singing as a child, and also my dad's a musician, so there wasn't much getting away from it. I knew quite early on I wanted to work in the music industry, and I also knew I wanted to be on the organisational side as opposed to the performing side. So I went and studied music. I did my degree in popular music once I left school. In my final year of that, I was lucky enough to specialise in entrepreneurship, and by that point, when I graduated, I knew that it was artist management that I really wanted to move into. So it's been a lifelong ambition. So the AR Vocal Agency was set up primarily with the intention of partnering really great vocalists and top-line writers with specifically dance music producers, not least because they're the ones that need vocalists and top lines more than any other genre. My background is also in dance music, so that's kind of where I wanted it to start. However, we do provide vocalists for a whole variety of different artists, whole variety of different projects, backing vocals, session work, whatever it might be. The idea came from being a music lover and starting as a singer myself. I really listen to vocals in tracks. I think that's what I'm tuned into more than anything else. And over the years, I've collected a lot of vocalist friends, a lot of vocalist contacts, and I kept getting asked to kind of if I knew any vocalists that might work for certain projects, and eventually realised there was a business in it. So I manage two artists at the moment, both quite new artists that I'm sort of building. Artist management's always been what I've done since I graduated. I guess it's the only trade I know in the music industry, and I just was always very, very keen to work very closely with artists and their career. I think nowadays in the music industry that's an even closer relationship than it ever was before, not least because the artist has to do so much by themselves before the point where the rest of a team or a label might get involved. Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I mean, every artist-manager relationship is completely different. Even the relationship I have with my individual artists is different from the other. Because it's very much targeted around what the artist needs, what they want to do, what they want to achieve, what their goals are, and you work together very, very closely as a team on that. I consider myself and my artists very much involved in a 50-50 joint venture. Our duties in that venture are completely different in that the artist, of course, is focusing on the musical and creative output. However, really, that relationship is so close now. I think John Webster's probably absolutely right. There's actually quite a lot of things. It really doesn't just come down to musical talent or kind of my tastes in music. I want them to really be very, very hard working. So a good work ethic is really important to me. If you feel like your artist isn't putting as much time and effort into a project as you are, it will never work. So I need somebody to match, I guess, my own working style. I like an artist to have a really good understanding and knowledge of the music industry as well, as much as is possible. I don't expect them to be a marketing expert or to be a manager themselves, but I think you want to be working with somebody that really does have a business head, is quite savvy about those things, can make the right decisions, because at the end of the day, it's the artist's final decision that stands. I can only advise them. So it's really important to me that they have a good kind of understanding and knowledge of the music industry and how it works, and what their priorities are. I meet lots and lots of talented people who really don't have much direction. They're not actually sure what it is they want to achieve. They're not actually sure what it is they want to do musically. I think if that's the case, it's very difficult to manage. So for me, it's really important that they have a very clear vision of what they want to do. I guess it depends what stage of their career and their development they're at. I think always an artist's first and foremost kind of concern should absolutely be the music. You're only as good as your product, and really that's what they should be focusing their time and energy on, especially at the early stages. If they're not quite sure yet of their sound, of their style, it takes a long time to work that out and explore it, and I think that's really where most of their energy should be focused. However, having said that, based on my previous answers, I think it's really important that they really educate themselves on the music industry, what else is happening in the industry, not necessarily what other artists are doing, but it does help to kind of have a really strong idea of what it is you want to do, or artists whose careers you really admire and you think they've followed a kind of clever plan, and maybe try and incorporate some of that into your own plans. Artists today, they really have to know and understand a bit about everything. So marketing, promotion, artistic work, how labels run, production, engineering.
Yeah.
The more strings you have to your bow, absolutely the stronger position you're in, but the music should always be kind of the first focus, I think. I think it's really important that after a gig you never ever leave without having heard at least once or twice exactly what the artist's name is and where you can find them online. I think without that, there's really no point in you going out and gigging whatsoever. I don't know if it's as important to leave with something in your hand. I actually think to incentivise people to leave with something in their hands, even when you're giving it away for free, they have to really, they have to really want to look you up. They have to really want to hear more. They have to really be interested in what you're doing. So I think actually, especially at the early stages, giving them, a good web address or even a good social network address is enough to perhaps entice them to find out a little bit more when they get home. It's good to have something to leave with to jog people's memories, but I'm not sure it's entirely necessary actually. Again, it really depends on what kind of artist they are. Is it a band that has lots and lots of members? If you're a sort of 12-piece ensemble, obviously self-funding touring is much more difficult if you're one person with a keyboard or a laptop or something. I think it also depends on your hometown and what size it is. I think it's actually much easier for artists to build a fan base starting in their hometown and their home area. And if your hometown or your home area isn't London, all the better really. So I think it is quite important to start playing outside of your hometown as soon as you're able and as soon as you can. But start at home, start focusing on the audiences, the clubs, the venues that you should be playing, and raise awareness of who you are, because actually if you can create a bit of buzz in your hometown, it makes it so much easier to then start playing gigs in other towns. So there's maybe not an urgency to get out and play outside of your area, but if you can self-fund it without really breaking the bank, then yeah, I think that's a really vital rite of passage for all artists. If for nothing else other than just your own development as a performer and getting to know what it's like being on the road, absolutely. Well, I think as an artist, if you're trying to do anything specifically to rise above the noise, it's maybe a false economy actually. I believe absolutely in artists being true to who they are, to their own style, to their own type of writing, rather than kind of writing music to try and please other people. I think people see right through that as being disingenuous straight away. So I think it's not so much about kind of making yourself stand out unless you have a point that really stands out anyway, and work to your strengths, but don't try and manufacture or manipulate people's perception of you. It's really important, again, as I said, to work on the music and make sure that's as good as it can possibly be first. That's your product. That's the only thing that people are going to really kind of relate to more than anything else, and develop a good sense of who you are, not just as an artist but as a person, and then work really hard. I'm not sure if there's any kind of secret to it. I don't think gimmicks work at all. I don't think the route to market is easier. I think it's a lot more democratic. So if you want to be a musician and you like writing music, there's absolutely no excuse nowadays to not be doing it and to not following that. I think the number of people that can make a really good living from it now has decreased as a result, but there's never a shortage of audience for good music. I'm not sure if it works for all genres. My background is quite a lot in dance and pop music, so of course a really good remix can really make or break an artist, or make or break a kind of single package or a campaign. There are definitely examples out there of people who are very well known for a remix of one of their tracks that isn't actually the original version. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think remixing is an art and a skill in itself. And certain producers have done really excellent jobs on remixes where they completely change the whole track. They add a lot to it, and that's a musician and a producer's job. So I don't think it's vital for every artist at all. Again, it's what suits and what you want to do. But I think a really strong remix is a really great asset to have, definitely. Again, I guess it depends on the artist and where they are in their career. I think brands are certainly one option of many for artists. I don't think there's any artists out there that should discount them at all. Routes to market are very kind of varied now and very, very different, and it's about working with what is best for you. I do very often still hear artists kind of really guffawing at the idea of brand partnerships. As far as I'm concerned, it's really no different from a partnership with a record label or anyone else that's going to be helping you get your music out to places that you wouldn't be able to do by yourself, marketing it to territories that you wouldn't be able to reach by yourself. That is certainly nothing to be kind of sniffed at, I don't think, as an artist. What is more important is that making sure that the partnership really works for both parties, that it's very clear from the outset what you both hope to achieve from it, and that you're going to be able to work together smoothly on it. I hate to use the term, but are your brands aligned as a partnership? If not, then it's the wrong partnership for you. So I think there's probably the right partnership out there for everybody. I don't know if actually brands are putting that much money behind it. Certainly there are definitely some big companies that have some great examples of successful partnerships, but I'm not sure if that kind of gold rush of brand partnerships happened the way that people thought it was going to a few years back. Again, I don't think it's about having a gimmick. I think if you really, really feel that package is something that's going to appeal to your own audience, then absolutely it's a great idea. If you know it's something that your audience will enjoy and will buy at the end of the day, fantastic. I don't think it's worth doing just for the sake of it. There's so many different ways of getting music out there. I think if you really, really know your fan base, and you should, it's about that, isn't it? It's about knowing exactly who your audience and who your demographic are, appealing to them in the best way possible. For some people that will be, free MP3s online, and for others that would be a really interesting box set or interesting technological product. But you've got to make sure it's right for your audience. So I think that's the key thing. It's not about trying to upsell something to people that wouldn't normally want it. So the best way to find us is if you go to the website, which covers AR Artist Management and the AR Vocal Agency, which is www.ar-management.com. That's the best way to reach us.